Seattle Council votes to repeal tax to help homeless amid opposition from Amazon. We covered this before on the show. A quick refresher for anybody that wants it, or just a quick refresher in general. There was a homeless tax. Not a tax on the homeless, mind you. A tax on the biggest businesses in the Seattle area. And what was that tax going to go to do? That tax was going to go help homeless people. It was going to help house the homeless. So it was a good idea. It had support from City Council. The mayor was supporting it as well. And the citizens of Seattle largely supported it. Who was opposed to it? The big businesses in town. The biggest culprit being Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Even though this tax was totally affordable, it ended up being, I think, about $500 per year per worker, which when you look at the revenue that those companies bring in, that's a drop in the bucket. But Amazon didn't like it anyway. And it looks like they're going to get their way. The Seattle City Council on Tuesday voted to repeal a tax hike on large employers that it instituted less than a month ago, backing down from a plan fiercely opposed by Amazon.com and much of the city's business community. Not all of it, just the biggest ones that were going to get hit by it, by the way. Amazon, and who else was complaining a lot about this? Starbucks. Mr. I want to be president in 2020, Howard Schultz, the billionaire who has made billions by making a milkshake and throwing a coffee bean in it and calling it breakfast, charging you $5 for a 50-cent cup of coffee. That guy is opposed to this tax that his company could afford many times over that would help homeless people. Man, a billionaire telling you that you can't have the type of programs other countries that are less wealthy than us take for granted and doesn't want to pitch in to help the homeless. Man, that guy, that's who I want to be president in 2020. It makes sense he's running as a Republican, right, Ron? No, he's running as a Democrat. Because we got one party, it's the money party, baby. Doesn't matter if there's an R or D next to the person's name in most cases. It's the money party. Howard Schultz is no different. What a scam. What a scam. The new tax would have raised $48 million annually to combat Seattle's homelessness. You know where that goes far? That goes far in combating homelessness. You know where that's a drop in the bucket? To these companies that can afford to pay it. It's a little bit from them that goes a long way. And the city supported it, and the residents wanted it, but guess what? They ain't getting it. Why? Because Amazon complained. Because Starbucks complains. And do we have a democracy? Hell no. We have a plutocracy. The people with the money make the rules. And if they don't like a rule, they strike it down. They pitch a fit till they get what they want. And even in quote-unquote progressive Seattle, they're getting what they want. And I got a lot of love for Seattle. I really do. I used to live there. The Pacific Northwest is one of my favorite areas in the world. But when I was there in 2007 to 2010, that city was taking an ugly neoliberal turn. And I would say to people, I'd be like, this place ain't near as progressive as they say they are. At least not as far as the people that make the rules go. This place actually demonizes the poor. They want to get us out of here. That's what they really want. And people looked at me like I was crazy. What are you talking about, Ron? We all have gay friends here. We're really progressive. Seattle's super progressive. No, not if you look at the rules they're really trying to instill. They're not all that progressive. They're really not. Look what happened since then. Seattle has become infinitely more corporate. The neighborhood I used to live in, Fremont, I don't even recognize it. I was back there in 2016 because I had a college show in Seattle. I didn't even recognize the old neighborhood. Most of the stuff I used to love is gone. A lot of the buildings are empty because no one can afford the rents on Fremont Avenue. I couldn't even afford that neighborhood today. I live in Los Angeles. That neighborhood is more expensive than where I live in the Los Angeles area. And I was able to afford that neighborhood, which, by the way, was a hip, cool neighborhood. Still is in many ways. It's still a beautiful neighborhood. But I could afford to live there, kind of just being a broke, recently out of college kid, just kind of figuring out my way in the world, doing comedy open mics, kind of going from temp job to temp job, doing what I had to do to survive, traveling when I had a little bit of extra money. I could afford to live in Fremont. Certainly couldn't. I don't even think I could afford to live there now. And why has that city changed so much? Well, because of this kind of stuff. Seattle's council voted 7-2 to repeal the tax. The people who are being disruptive because they are angry, said Tay Phoenix, one of the activists. The system is not working for them, and disrupting is the only thing they can do. That's right, because you don't get a say in it. Even though the citizens want this, even though the city council was for it, even though they voted for it, and so did the mayor, now they're repealing it. Because Amazon cried loudly enough. If that doesn't sound like a democracy to you, ding, 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 that's because it isn't. Very poor form, Seattle. And I'm incredibly disappointed. Let's see what the mayor says about this. I have a newsflash for council members who catapulted this in lightning speed. This was never going to be easy in the face of mass corporate misinformation. This is from Shama Sawant, a council member and a member of Socialist Alternative. I guarantee she was on the right side of this. I guarantee she was one of those no votes that said, no, we're not repealing this thing. And again, she's calling it out because of corporate misinformation. I'm curious what the mayor has to say for flopping on this, as well as the council that flopped. Curious what they have to say, how they justify it. Here's what John Kelly, a spokesman for Starbucks, has to say. Repeal makes sense. Together we must work to bring families inside once and for all. Oh yeah, it's about the families. What a joke. What a joke. Go sell a coffee milkshake. Very disappointing. Very disappointing, Seattle. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.